thought. A group of men calling themselves Super Happy Fun America are planning to hold a straight pride parade in Boston this summer. You heard that right, a straight pride parade. Now, while the story is going viral, the organizers of this proposed incel-ebration are facing a challenge, with Boston officials stating that they have not yet been granted a permit to hold that parade. Now, last Thursday, Vice President Mark Sahadi said, quote, "We filed a discrimination complaint and it appears the city of Boston understands they would lose in litigation. The city is now working with us on the parade," end quote. Now, according to its website, Super Happy Fun America's mission is to celebrate the diverse history, culture, and contributions of the straight community. But one look at that group shows diverse was evidently put there ironically, or they don't know what that means. Now, I got a couple questions for y'all. Who hurt you? Why are you like this? Besides, Super Happy Fun America sounds like an off-brand amusement park that kind of with rides that injure people. And lastly, what do these people plan to achieve by doing this? Society is not discriminating against straight people. Straight people are not being assaulted or killed over their sexual orientation. There's no slurs directed at straight men or women. Straight children never have to worry about coming out to their families and friends. The whole concept of straight pride is ridiculous and an insult to the LGBTQ community. Oh, that was the point, wasn't it? But hey, if Super Happy Fun America wants to get a permit and hold a public gathering, they have the right to assemble peacefully and throw the worst parade since they got kicked off of Tinder. Yes, we know. You guys have a beautiful Wednesday and get up, DC.